In the heart of Philadelphia, during the tumultuous 1980s, an unassuming house stood on North Marshall Street. Its owner, Gary Heidnik, was a middle-aged man with glasses, appearing ordinary and even slightly awkward. But beneath this facade of normalcy lurked a monster whose actions would shock the nation and redefine the depths of human depravity. Gary Heidnik's life had been a descent into darkness. Once an army medic, his mind had become a breeding ground for bizarre religious delusions and twisted fantasies. Diagnosed with schizophrenia and personality disorders, Heidnik's psychiatric records painted a picture of a man teetering on the edge of sanity. Yet no one could have imagined the horrors that were about to unfold within the walls of his seemingly ordinary home. Heidnik was consumed by an insane obsession. He believed he could create a new race of his own, a delusion that drove him to seek out vulnerable women to fulfill his twisted vision. He prowled the streets of Philadelphia, targeting those who were homeless or financially struggling, offering them shelter and assistance. But his promises of help were nothing more than a deadly trap. The basement of Heidnik's house became a living hell, a private prison where multiple women would endure unimaginable torment. As we delve into the depths of this house of horrors, we must steel ourselves for the nightmarish reality that awaited Heidnik's victims. The cramped, filthy room was a scene of utter despair. Chains and handcuffs adorned the walls, instruments of confinement that would hold these women captive for months. The air was thick with the stench of fear and decay. In this underground chamber, Heidnik unleashed his sadistic desires, subjecting his victims to starvation, beatings, and sexual abuse beyond comprehension. Each day in this basement was a struggle for survival. The women were forced to perform vile acts, their suffering meticulously documented by their tormentor. Heidnik reveled in their pain, his twisted mind finding pleasure in their anguish. The basement walls echoed with whimpers and screams, sounds that would haunt the survivors for the rest of their lives. But the true extent of Heidnik's depravity was yet to be revealed. His actions defied human imagination, pushing the boundaries of what one could consider possible in the realm of human cruelty. Two of his victims, Sandra Lindsay and Deborah Dudley, would not survive their ordeal. Their deaths marked the beginning of a new chapter of horror in Heidnik's reign of terror. In a grotesque display of his madness, Heidnik dismembered the bodies of his victims. But death was not the end of their suffering. In an act that defies comprehension, he forced the surviving captives to consume the flesh of their fallen companions. The basement became a macabre kitchen where Heidnik cooked body parts, further traumatizing the women under his control. The torture methods employed by Heidnik were as varied as they were cruel. Electric shocks coursed through the bodies of his victims, their screams of agony music to his deranged ears. He confined them in water-filled pits, a horrifying ordeal that pushed them to the brink of drowning. In Heidnik's twisted world, these women were no longer human beings, but slaves to his perverse desires. As days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, hope seemed to fade from the eyes of the captives. The outside world continued unaware, while beneath the streets of Philadelphia, a nightmare unfolded. But even in the darkest of times, the human spirit can find the strength to persevere. It was Josefina Rivera, one of Heidnik's victims, who would finally break the cycle of terror. After enduring a brutal beating at the hands of her captor, Rivera saw an opportunity for escape. With courage born of desperation, she managed to flee the House of Horrors and ran to the nearest police station. Rivera's story sent shockwaves through the Philadelphia Police Department. Her words painted a picture so horrific that it seemed almost unbelievable. But as officers raided Gary Heidnik's house, the full extent of his crimes came to light. The basement, that chamber of unspeakable horrors, was finally exposed to the world. The surviving victims were rescued, but the trauma of their ordeal would haunt them forever. As they emerged from the darkness, blinking in the harsh light of day, the world struggled to comprehend the nightmare they had endured. The house on North Marshall Street, once an unremarkable part of the neighborhood, now stood as a chilling reminder of the evil that had transpired within its walls. Gary Heidnik's reign of terror had come to an end, but the impact of his crimes would reverberate through time. He was convicted of murder and kidnapping, his actions so heinous that society demanded the ultimate punishment. In 1999, Heidnik met his fate, executed by lethal injection. His final moments were a stark contrast to the prolonged suffering he had inflicted on his victims. As we reflect on the case of Gary Heidnik, we are forced to confront the darkest facets of the human mind. His story serves as a chilling reminder of the monsters that can live among us, hiding behind facades of normalcy. It exposes the vulnerability of those on the fringes of society and the ease with which predators can exploit that vulnerability. The house on North Marshall Street still stands, a silent sentinel holding the memories of unspeakable acts. For those who know its history, it serves as a grim reminder of the horrors that once unfolded within its walls. The basement, once a dungeon of despair, now lies empty, but the echoes of suffering still seem to linger in the air. The survivors of Heidnik's torture carry their scars, both physical and emotional, to this day. Their strength in the face of unimaginable horror is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Their stories serve as a powerful reminder of the importance of vigilance and compassion in our communities. The case of Gary Heidnik stands as one of the most gruesome chapters in American true crime history. It forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about the potential for evil that exists within our society. As we close this dark chapter, we are left with a sobering realization. Sometimes the most ordinary of facades can hide the most extraordinary of horrors. In the end, the story of Gary Heidnik's House of Horrors is more than just a tale of depravity and suffering. It is a stark reminder of the power of survival, the strength of the human will, and the importance of never turning a blind eye to the suffering of others. For in the darkest of times, it is our humanity that must shine the brightest.